We're live now. Welcome back, everybody.
Yo, so we have some loose concepts, some ideas. We have some space to play around in with our apocalypse. We've decided that we're going to go with a apocalypse of dampness. It's going to be rot and fungus and water everywhere.
The black mold apocalypse.
Yeah, totally. Oh God. Yeah, and we talked a little bit about the physical space being impermanent. That you might have a home in a crumbling skyscraper now, but it's slowly sinking into the mire. We talked about a scarcity of humans. That there's just not that many people around. We don't know where they went. And about scarcity of warmth, like trying to find a place that we can be to stay warm and cook the food that we can get. But we're not hard done by in that way. People fish and hunt for larger sea creatures, probably catch birds. But making a fire is a whole other story. So the damp is present everywhere. And then we spent some time talking about memory, about a scarcity of memory. So that's a thing in this setting, that people have a hard time retaining memory, or after a certain age, their memory collapses and they have to sort of start over. Sort of like you hit an age and you lose everything about your childhood. And for the player characters, there's no one who remembers their childhood for them. But for children in the setting, as they grow up, they'll at least have other adults who are able to impart to them, like, these are the things that happened to you before you were an adult, and now you're an adult. Your past is functionally a fiction that other people remember for you now. So that's a cool place to start. And then we also discussed that so there's some weird technology available to some characters, probably scavenged from some of these zones where physics and time don't apply normally. We also discussed that there aren't going to be any clowns. No clowns in this game.
Thank you.
Which I agree with. Scary. And also, we're not going to do any Gene Wolfe describing stuff that we all know what it is, but the characters don't know what it is. Horseshit. Sorry, Gene. That's boring. So what we want to do now is make some characters. So
Man.
To do this, we're going to need, let me move some stuff around on my GM screen. We're going to need the playbooks for the characters. So I'll do a brief intro of the different types of characters that are available to you, and then you guys can talk about which one appeals to you. Then we'll pop open the character sheet and we'll go through that. So in Apocalypse World, there are different character archetypes. They're called playbooks in this game. If you want, you can think of them as the character classes. And what they do is define primarily what your character's role is in your community and the things that you can do to accomplish your job as that role. So the playbooks are the Angel. So the Angel is a medic character. Their job basically is to keep other people alive. So if you want to play a character who everybody loves or at least relies on, you play an Angel. But if things are going well, people aren't going to recognize that you're worth much, right? Like, nobody thinks about their doctor when they feel great. People will come to you with their problems. Right. And so things might not be necessarily interesting for you when things are good. So it'll be on you to make interesting relationships with people and find other ways to stay relevant, or sabotage them, because fuck it. You're like, what? Nobody's sick? Nobody has any broken bones? Well, I guess I better cause some problems.
Also, it is the apocalypse, so things being good is not much of a danger.
Yeah. That's very true. Okay, so there's the Battle Babe, which is the next playbook. The Battle Babe is a character who is they're kind of just great at anything that they set their hand at. They're awesome in battle. They're good at getting people to do what they want. They're dangerous and they're provocative. The other side of them, though, is they're really good at starting trouble, but they're not really great at getting out of it. If you want to play a character who's really good at starting fires but doesn't own a fire extinguisher, play Battle Babe. People tend to come to them for things a lot, and they're sort of like troubleshooters. They're really fun to play, but they're not the kind of like stick in and like win the day sort of character. There's you can play a brainer. And yeah, I'm just doing like a loose description. John and Andrew, you guys have played this before. If you have anecdotes or thoughts about playing any of these characters, feel free. Jump in, give me your feedback.
I would also say about the Battle Babe that if you want to play someone who is gets to decide where their attachments are and can kind of be the free floating agent, that's a good character type of that too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're the Yojimbo of the game. The like, oh, I see the heart holder and the Hocus are fighting. Let's make that worse.
Yep.
So the brainer is the sort of archetypal psychic character. They have very powerful moves, really good at forcibly manipulating NPCs to do stuff. People tend to steer clear of you or are afraid of you. The characters in this game tend to relate to brainers depending on how they use their powers. I mean, you can be the like puppet string pulling psychic that, you know, literally just manipulates everybody, or you can be like kind of an advisor or an assistant to someone else who's in power. I really like the brainer. I've played a couple of brainers that were really fun, and I think they do a great job as the like worm tongue kind of character.
Right.
That's my favorite brainer to play. Especially if somebody else is the heart holder or the Hocus, you can be the Darth Vader to their Emperor.
One thing I'll pitch in about the brainer is that they're a really good character for having asymmetrical relationships with people. So like you can be really involved in other people's lives, but they like won't know about it or don't want you to be or whatever else. Like it's whereas most other characters' relationships are very two-sided and like community-oriented, the brainer is the like total creeper who can kind of just have these very one-sided or asymmetrical relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
And power corrupts.
Oh yeah.
That's something that always happens with the brainer and the Skinner, which we'll get to in a second. When you can control people, you tend to do it.
Right, it's the hammer and nail situation, right? Where you're like, okay, I guess I could go to this guy and I could ask him nicely if maybe he would give me the food that I need, or I could just sneak up on him in the night and get my hands on his brain and just make him do it.
Yep.
So that's a fun character to play. So there's the Chopper. So the Chopper leads a biker gang. Now we might need to change biker gang to like
Sea-Doo gang.
Yeah, jet ski gang or hovercraft gang.
Yeah.
All right, maybe that's better.
Though I mean the idea of a bunch of dudes tooling around on combat
It's
ships.
pretty great.
That's too Waterworld for me. That's
All right, so we'll roll that back from one.
No Waterworld.
All right, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna put that on the list. No Waterworld. Okay, cool. If it appears in the movie Waterworld, not
here.
Okay. We're halfway there. We're Swamp World.
Yeah. Swamp World.
Okay, so they lead gangs, mobile gangs. They're powerful, but their power isn't internal, right? Like it's not a power that they can keep to themselves. It's spread out throughout their gang.
Right.
So you'll have NPCs that do your bidding most of the time, but part of your character, if you play a Chopper, will be about keeping that power, making choices, making examples of people. I mean, if you like biker fiction, if you like watching Sons of Anarchy or whatever, and you like the interesting like power struggles there, this is what that character does well. So you're sort of semi in charge. You're more autonomous than a heart holder would be, but you do still you can seize things, but you don't take them for the sake of building a home there or like making something. You're just kind of like the wandering bike gang. And these characters tend to have drama around them pretty consistently.
Definitely a pirate trope as well, if you want to think of it that way. The crew of bandits.
Renegades,
pirates,
Viking raiders.
That
thing. And they can be, you can be, as far out as like marauders who like drive around kidnapping people, or it can just be like a bunch of powerful people who happen to band together in this environment. That'll be up to you. So speaking of vehicles, the driver, again, by default has a car, but I assume we would in this like a boat. They have mobility and freedom. Having the driver in the game tends to zoom the game out slightly because they can go between communities rather than just focusing on one. I feel like in my experience, the driver is like the least played playbook. Like I don't think I've ever been in a game with a driver.
I've heard some horror stories about like people trying to play drivers.
I've had really successful driver experiences with running with driver players, but I that's what I've heard too. There've been a lot of problems in some problems in some games, and it's chosen very infrequently. But it's totally doable. It just requires a little more twisting of some dials to get the driver to fit in with the rest of the game.
Yeah, we would have to talk about that and not let the driver kind of like break up the game or be like, okay, cool, we're gonna go on driver adventure today. So in the next hour, be like, you're out in the water doing stuff, and everybody else is just like looking at their phones, being like, okay, Apocalypse 2. So if you do play the driver, it might be worth picking another character that you're like related to closely in some way, so that you have them kind of like on board. So the driver themselves, they're really like all about again externalizing that power through their vehicle. Their car is awesome, and when they use their car to their advantage, they're extra awesome. So if you want to be a gun-toting badass, the Gunlugger is the playbook for you. They're simple, they're direct. Their moves are all just about accomplishing specific things, and usually that means by shooting at them or blowing them up. They're the most violent, like directly, obviously violent playbook. Their job is to wreck shit. But they're a bit like the Angel. They're sort of the dark reflection of the Angel in that if nobody needs anything blown up or wrecked, if the community isn't under attack in some direct way, you may not have anything to shoot at. So it can be hard to. So you need to build up your character with the other characters' relationships to be able to sort of continue through those times where violence is necessary.
Violence is always necessary.
Well, I mean, if you're the Gunlugger, yep, that is true. It's the brainer thing again, right? Where you're like, well, I have this minigun.
Got really good manners and a minigun, but it's a lot easier to use a minigun.
What needs to be destroyed?
When all you have is a minigun, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
That's how the saying goes, right?
Yeah.
So the Hardholder, they are some combination of like governor, landlord, king, general. They're the one that they run the home base. Now, if nobody plays the Hardholder, this means that there probably is some kind of NPC that is in charge of your community, or no one's in charge. It's a more like anarchy kind of situation. But if someone plays a Hardholder, it's like you're the boss. You're the boss of this community. Now, as Andrew can attest, Hardholders don't hang on to their hold forever. You can lose it. You may become a different type of character later on, but it's about struggling to own the hardhold and to manage that stuff moment to moment. You'll have lots of interaction with NPCs, and you'll be able to be the one that says like, okay, I need you people to do this thing. And if someone plays the Hardholder, it gives the other characters an opportunity to attach themselves to the holder in some official way to begin with. But again, remember, there's no status quo, so these things can come apart.
Yeah, playing the Hardholder is for people who like the challenge of trying to hold something together in a world that's all falling apart, and not the other way around. Like sometimes it's attractive to a player who wants sort of security or stability, and don't play the Hardholder.
Basically, just right. You're just inviting that to be destabilized in the same way that you have a minigun. You're inviting the chance to shoot that minigun, right? Like that's
or at least enjoy the challenge of it. Like, you know, because it can be frustrating if you want safety and security. But if you want the challenge of establishing safety and security, that's the Hardholder.
Yeah.
Or if you want to watch the whole thing fall to pieces. Like when I played the Hardholder, that was kind of my thing.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is not going to do it. Like my character was explicitly terrible at running things, but wasn't much.
And that
was really fun.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, sometimes we want to run Bartertown just to see it burn.
Yeah.
The Ron Swanson take from Parks and Rec. Like he's in charge of the local government only insofar as he doesn't think government should exist at all. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's a bigger picture thing to mention real fast. I don't want to sidetrack us too much, but playing characters that don't have their own best interests at heart is something this game is super good at. Jimmy McNulty is always my favorite example of that from The Wire. Someone who just is their own worst enemy. They make bad choices in life. And that's a really good character to play in Apocalypse World. If you're attracted to that type of character, this game does that very well.
Cool. So another character that I find tends to get connected to the ongoing community really well is the Hocus. So the Hocus is the cult leader. They're the ones that have disciples rather than necessarily like people that look to them in a secular way. And the Hocus can be like literally just like a religious leader, but there can be lots of other reasons why their cult has assembled around them. They're social, they're public figures, they're super fun to play. They're also weird. So if you want to be like a weird cult leader, this is the thing for you. The disadvantage to that, or the challenge, I guess, for playing that is that your followers, you have to deal with them in a weirder way than if you were the hard holder. Like a hard holder, people are going to come to you and be like, "Sir, my village is being attacked by raiders." But if you're the Hocus, they're going to be like, "I had a terrible dream about blood, and now I have 3 arms. What do I do, sir?"
Right.
The problems you have to deal with are going to be weirder, and you're going to need to fix them with weird solutions. I like the Hocus. The Hocus is one of my favorite playbooks.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like the hard holder there's drama around you. There's NPC drama. Games that contain a Hocus and a hard holder can be really fun because you have to decide where your power is in that pyramid. And then the Operator. The Operator is one that I don't have a ton of experience with in play. Like I've played one and seen, I think, one. They are like basically they're the people that move in the background getting shit done. They're fences. They're freelancers. They have basically like schemes running all the time, and they can choose what job they want to be working during downtime, and their life gets more complicated when their job goes unwell. So what'll happen is that they have a lot of off-screen stuff that tends to move in and out of the view that we get of them. They basically just run their own businesses and bring in NPCs through that.
I think Malcolm Reynolds is a great example of an operator. Someone who has a crew and pulls gigs and is just constantly in some sort of trouble because of that. And yeah, like Adam said, a lot of times that stuff is sort of off screen and coming and going from the spotlight. But it's another character that has a crew or a pack of NPCs that's usually a smaller set.
Yeah,
but they kind of lead their own little crew of NPCs. Pulling heists or whatever they do. You can choose your thing. You can even be assassins or whatever. But
also noteworthy, like any of those NPC, like the gangs or the operator's crew or your cult or whatever, that could also include or be entirely comprised of the other PCs.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, so, that's a question I like to ask. We haven't gotten through all the characters yet, but
we'll get there.
Yeah, like are we a hard holder and their people? Are we a Chocolate and their gang? Are we a Hocus and their cult? Like if we want to go that way, we could, and just be all part of that person's.
Yeah.
But
cool. Yeah. So there's the Savvy Head. So Savvy Head. This is where if the stuff we talked about before about weird technology appeals to you, this is the character class for that. They tend to have they're fairly tightly tied to the kind of weirdness of the setting. The psychic maelstrom, weird technology. They're really good at building things. And
no, they're not.
They're the only ones. They're the only ones that have the immediate access to the "I want to make this. How do I do it?" move.
Right.
They can try to do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And enjoy what happens from there.
Yeah. They tend also, depending on the moves that you take, to be sort of advisors to the other people in the community. People who come to you for advice. You tend to be fairly powerful and useful as an ally, but they're not front row kind of characters themselves. You'll have lots to do, but like the operator, some of it might be in the background, and you might need to help. You'll definitely need to help with people you don't like or want to have to help you to do the things that you want to do. They can be really fun characters to if you're willing to like engage another player and to do some bartering with the other characters. They're really fun to play to kind of accomplish what you need to accomplish. So the last playbook that we have available are the Skinner. So the Skinners are, if we want to do the Firefly thing, Nara is the Skinner. They're hypersocial characters, great mundane, which is to say not like necessarily psychically powered manipulators. I really like the phrase in the book. You play a Skinner if you want to be utterly unignorable. They're the opposite of the ghost in Monster Hearts. Everyone will know where you are all the time and constantly want your attention. They have tools to manipulate people, and they tend to be highly desired. So if you play a Skinner, you kind of want to have a character that, or an idea of your character and what you want to do with that character, because people will come to you looking for ways to please you, and if you don't know what they can do, it can be hard to be like, I don't know what you could do to catch a glimpse of me or to hear me sing one more time.
Right.
Yeah, it's good to have an agenda.
Definitely have an agenda.
Yeah. Or discover one anyway. You don't need to start necessarily with one.
Right.
And a bodyguard.
Bodyguards are good.
And a bodyguard. It's true. Cool. So, how do you guys want to do this? Do you want to talk about? Does anybody have like a particular playbook that like just is jumping out at them?
I have two that I'm leaning towards because I haven't really played a lot of the like more independent characters, and so I was thinking of being either a battle babe or a brainer. I'm flexible. If two other players in this game want to like pick those characters, that's fine. I can figure out something else. Like I could also play an operator as a third choice, I guess.
Right. I have like 3 or 4 different playbooks in mind. Neither of the two that you just mentioned, which is nice. I already talked about maybe doing a Skinner who sings and knows some songs from before. But I also, there is something really appealing about the Hocus and like the notion of like doing kind of weird interpretation of people of your kind of followings, the problems people bring you. And that same sort of like background advisory stuff makes the Savvy Head speak to me. There's a really good move there, and then just like the notion of like the old mechanic who's been around and who knows a few things, or just has that gut intuition is nice. But also like, man, I want a shotgun. Like it's the post-apocalypse. I kind of want a shotgun. I kind of want to be a dude who has a shotgun.
So you play the gun lugger. You can have 40.
I can have all the shotguns. And so like, yeah, there is definitely some of the combat-y playbooks do appeal a little bit. I could come down in any of these places, really.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is cool about choosing the playbooks is that it's going to tell us what kind of game we're going to play.
Right.
Like if it'll be what we focus on generally. What about you, Absent? Do you have any that jumped out at you?
Okay, make sure I'm not muted. I was looking at either the gun lugger or the brainer. Or the medic if we need one, but I don't really like to play support. I don't like helping people.
definitely be the gun lugger then, because they're the opposite of that.
Definitely. No, you can help people as the gun lugger.
Yeah, help them into the grave.
Well, you help one person kill another person.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. John, what are you thinking?
I'm always kind of drawn to Chopper as my first choice. That it's hard for me to get away from that. But I love playing brainers. Operators are also cool. I'm slightly tempted to play a driver just to do it right and have it on camera. But it does, like Adam said, like having a driver in the game changes the nature of the game to some degree, which we may not necessarily want. What I'm curious, no one is mentioning. Did someone say Hocus? No one said Hocus, right?
Nope.
Austin did.
Austin
You're muted,
did?
Austin.
Austin, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. I'm back. Yeah, I said Hocus.
You said Hocus.
I'm thinking
I guess-
about it. Yeah.
I guess my first sort of gut question is that what I said before, like, do we want to think about a unit, like a group that we're all a part of? And if we do want to do that, then, you know, we can maybe think about which one of us is going to play the leader of that.
Right.
If we're all going to be the leader, right? If we want to explore that as our, because that's such a strong hook. Not doing that or not doing that is kind of an important sort of choice, I guess.
I mentioned it, and I would definitely do it. Though I do, the thing that I like the most about the Hocus is it would be the Hocus existing in a group that also has a non-Hocus leader, so there's that conflict.
Group. Sure. Yeah.
That could be the chopper, right? Like maybe there is an allegiance of opportunity between these two groups.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's the appeal for the Hocus for me in a large way.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm hearing that necessarily. Like, that, yes, we definitely want to be a group, and we want to, you know, one of us is going to play the chopper, and we're all going to be their gang, or one of us is going to be our older, and we're going to be. I'm not hearing that. It sounds like we want to be kind of an eclectic little mix of characters that are sort of related in some other way. That sounds great. So, I guess.
Is there anyone who is like really firm? Really, in your heart of hearts? In your heart of hearts, is there something that is speaking to you?
Andrew, are you solid on one?
I could do either one. Very excited for either one.
It sounded like you were pretty excited about Skinner, Austin, but maybe
I'm pretty excited about Skinner, but like, Skinner really appeals to me in a world in which there are lots of people in different communities bouncing back and forth, because so much of what makes that playbook work is being able to like bring people to you and manipulate them in interesting ways. Not that we can't do that in just a small group, but like, there's a safety in being able to bring people to you when there's lots of people around, because it's not very clear that you're necessarily manipulating everyone around you. Well, there's only a handful of people you're always drawing a target on yourself, but you're really drawing a target.
We do have the option of being like the mobile, like if I did play driver, let's say, and had a boat, and we could play a group that travels from enclave to enclave, and you know, that could be our thing. We could be the traveling troubleshooting badasses. Well, that could be cool. I've never played an apocalypse game that really dug into the Firefly trope. We could totally do that.
That would be pretty great. I'm kind of way into this now.
I mean, I think Adam might go insane if he runs another game about a ship and a crew, but it's such a good trope, and it feels very strong in this world of water and stuff.
So one thing that might work out nicely for us with that idea is that we've said there are very few people.
Right.
And so usually the problem with having like Apocalypse World is kind of crap at doing like you wander from town to town, because it really wants to go into like consequence of like specific places and groups of people. Yeah. And you have to like keep living out those consequences. And if you're just like, cool, we just leave, you know, that totally like torpedoes that whole part of the game. But if it's just that like, yeah, you know, there are like maybe 40 people who live in this like massive area.
What I was thinking is like
so small.
We don't look at it as clusters of towns necessarily, but we zoom out a little bit and we can look at it in terms of like, I don't know, like Iceland when it was first being settled. Like it's a big island, and you I might live with my like wife and my 4 daughters and my 8 sons over here, and this is my farmstead, and we do stuff, and then you're over there, and it's like a 4-day walk for me. So we're all spread out, but we're all part of the same community. The community is just dispersed.
That's cool. I like that a lot. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we have like, obviously there would be like the same equivalent of like the meets or whatever, the high moot where we all like sometimes get together.
I'm into it. I'll finalize Skinner. I'm playing a Skinner.
Okay. It's funny because it's almost feeling more like we're doing a sort of post-apocalyptic dogs in the vineyard almost
Kind
thing,
of,
where you're like going
yeah.
around and like
what we
small
actually do,
farms.
what we do is up for grabs yet. Maybe we
Yeah.
can actually,
Yeah,
maybe
why do you travel? I guess that'll be the thing. But
yeah.
so, okay, well let's nail down the. It sounds like we have a driver and a Skinner.
I want to do gunslinger.
Somebody's got to keep those ruffians off the boat.
Totally. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad we have a gun looker. That's cool. Yeah, I could be. I think I'll probably go with driver. Operator makes sense for that character too, but since we're gonna have a boat and we're gonna be driving around, I should take the opportunity to play driver.
And you can always, just so everyone knows, like, you can kind of hybridize your character by, as you take advances, which are what you get when you gain experience, you can take moves from other playbooks, so you can kind of have, like, you can splash in some
Maybe
operators,
class.
driver, or whatever else. Yeah, your gunslinger can also have, like, crazy psychic powers.
Cool.
Whatever.
Awesome.
Whatever.
One thing that's really interesting to keep in mind about the game is that the moves in the game, which is to say the discrete mechanical elements that make up your character, they're prescriptive and they're descriptive. So if your character sheet says you have a thing, so if your character sheet is like you're the chopper, you got a gang, bam, you have a gang. But if you spend the time and energy to fictionally position yourself towards getting a gang, then you still get those too. They exist. You'll get the move that goes with them. So, just because you don't have the advancements to get a thing, doesn't matter. And if you do have the advancements and you're like, I get a gang, we have to say, how do we figure this out? And
Fiction has to
move the fiction towards you getting
Sweeps
that.
then to support the mechanic and vice versa.
Yeah.
Although it can be fun to be nitpicky about that sometimes, where you fictionally position yourself to have a gang, but not to have pack alpha as a move.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of finally slice it sometimes and have these fun problems.
Well, yeah, and ultimately, when you try to do a thing you don't have a move for, and this is without getting too deep into how Apocalypse World works, if you don't have the move for a thing, the best you can do is tell me what you want to have happen, and I make a move. And sometimes that move is, here you go, you get the thing. But sometimes it's like, nope, bad things for you.
You get shot with bullets.
Okay, so Gunlugger, I guess it's down to you, Andrew.
I'm gonna play Brainer.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna be, I think, like the memory doctor kind of person. Like, I go around and do
that's
weird
good.
things with people, and like maybe I'm helping them, or maybe I'm inserting like fake memories or whatever.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the
Awesome.
role that I fulfill within this group of people, of like trying to like deal with people's broken brains. And I'm probably gonna like work in some weird savvy head stuff about like
Nice.
finding stuff as well. Like, okay, he's being a scavenger.
I'm
I didn't see
I'm imagining your character is like a Wild Westy, like old-timey huckster that you're like,
Nice.
Uncle John's good time brain tonic.
We got that brain tonic.
Yeah.
But like also maybe I actually do help people. Like I'm not necessarily just an evil
Sure.
manipulator asshole. Like I'm not really
Not necessarily.
that person.
Yeah, well, don't start making excuses for your character already.
Hey, gotta start strong and early.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
I like the scavenger idea too. That like I'm picturing the map in my head of like the little enclaves, the coastal enclaves, and then maybe some people deeper in. Maybe there's rivers we can go up. Then
There's always a river.
There's
or
another
a
part of
fjord or
that.
something.
there's this other part of the map that's like the unknown areas, and because we're so mobile, maybe we have this opportunity to like go scavenge in the taboo area and also go visit the sort of settled community things. So our game can kind of touch on both parts of our world.
Definitely. Well, and I think this is something I talked about a bit in the pre-show. I like the idea of the game jumping forward in time between sessions, or even in the middle of a session, to be like, okay, so we go to this enclave and we do some business, and then I'm like, all right, cool. So 6 months later, you're here and this is happening, and showing the way that the various enclaves change, the various island chains and stuff change while you like do other things and come back and visit them. I think having that progress is going to be really, really cool. So I switched all you over to just a blank page. So if you want to start drawing maps or doing any of that stuff on there, you're welcome to while we do character creation. So I guess the next thing to explain is the stats in the game. If you guys all want to bring up your character sheet, you can do that just by clicking on the journal button, and you'll see I've just named them after you for right now. So there's 3 sections on that character sheet. There's your bio and info, which you can edit. So once your character has a name, you want to come in here and change their name from your own. But click on the character sheet, and you'll see our built-in character sheet for the game. So the stats in this game, for anyone who is new, not familiar yet, are cool, hard, hot, sharp, and weird. There's another stat, but it's determined later when we do history. So your cool means I'll read them off from the list so everybody in the audience can see how they work. So cool means cool under fire, calm, rational, clear thinking, calculated, and unfazed. Not like cool in a like sunglasses and motorbike kind of way. But you could be that kind of cool too.
You can also be that.
Yeah, that's a different. It's not based on that stat. So hard. Hard is hard-hearted, strong-willed, violent, aggressive, mean, physically and emotionally strong. So this is your get shit done with your fists and your guns stat. You have hot, meaning like actually hot. This is your hotness, how attractive you are, but also means like subtle, gracious, inspiring, interesting. It's used for manipulating people and getting people's attention. So for everybody who ever wanted to play a game where you could roll for hot, there it is.
Finally.
You
can be both hard and hot at the same time. Sharp.
And wet in this setting.
No, you're that.
We're all
in this setting. Everyone has +3 wet all the time. To survive, roll minus wet. So sharp means sharp-witted, clever, alert, smart, perceptive, educated, skilled, trained. It's used for absorbing information from me by way of the NPCs in the setting and from each other by way of reading people. It allows you as a player to ask questions. If you've played Dungeon World, this is a kind of a combination of intelligence and wisdom. You use it to both discern realities and to spout lore. Cool. So those moves are all based on sharp, that kind of stuff. And then your weird is how weird you are. It means weird both in the like you're a creepy psycho kind of way and in the Viking like you're magic sort of way. It means weirdo, psychic, genius, uncanny, lucky, strange, prophetic, touched. And it's used primarily for opening your brain to the psychic maelstrom, which is the thing anyone can do to ask the maelstrom for assistance, for help understanding something. So this is a way that you can, if your character is backed into a corner and you really need to figure out how to get out of that corner, or you just like want to know the weakness of your enemy or anything about the game, you can ask the maelstrom. And as we play, we're going to develop what the maelstrom is for everybody, how it's different from character to character, and what kinds of things it can tell you when you open your brain to it. Plus, what does it take back when it does that? So a character will be a collection of things, of these stats, ultimately between -3 and +3. You'll notice there's little roll macros for each one. So when you do something using that stat, you can just click the little button there, and it'll roll it in the game. The highlighted is just a way for you to check that box, and you'll know that if you rolled that stat, you can get an experience for it. We'll talk about highlighting in a little bit. And then your character is just basically made up of moves that you get. So each character class has a selection of moves that they get, both either by default or by selection. So why don't we go through this step by step? Since you are hosting for us, Avison, why don't we use you as our example?
Good deal.
Andrew, John, and Austin, if you guys want to follow along on the steps, feel free. Ask me questions along the way, and then we'll get to a point where we want to introduce our characters. So let's see. You're a gunlugger, yes?
Yep.
All right,
I have
gunlugger.
locked in my class.
Cool. Makes it sound so serious. All
Class
right,
spot.
so the gunlugger. Apocalypse World is a mean, ugly, violent place. Law and society have broken down completely. What's yours is yours only while you can hold it in your hands. There's no peace, there's no stability but what you carve inch by inch out of the concrete and dirt, and then defend with murder and blood. Sometimes the obvious move is the right one. So to create your gunlugger, choose a name. So there's a list of gunlugger names there you can choose. And then you're going to want to also choose a look from the list, so one item from each of those.
I was on the wrong page.
So this will be the same for everybody. You'll all have your own list of names and looks to choose from.
I'm gonna pick this name. Navari? Is that how we're saying it?
It's your name, man.
How I'm gonna say it.
Navari? Okay.
Yeah. I am a woman, for sure.
Okay.
Can't play dudes. Do I write that anywhere on here, or are we?
Is there a
that's just
spot?
something I
Is
can
there a spot
remember?
on the character sheet for?
Oh, I can do it in my bio. I don't think it's on the character sheet.
Can I chime in with a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how do I write anything into my bio and info tab? For me, it's just like a.
Hit
There's an edit button in the top right.
Oh, okay, great. Oh, see, okay, cool.
Yeah, and that'll allow you to edit all that basic stuff. And I can also leave notes there that only I can see for each of the characters.
I'm gonna have custom homemade armor.
Okay. So what's your homemade armor made out of?
It is made from, making me be creative, metal that I've found around and welded together over the course of my time.
Can Navari swim?
Yes.
You know how to swim? Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Because my thoughts with my character was, the only like real thought I had was that I've got to be doing something to my physical self to note when I forget who I am or who I know.
Okay.
Because the only person I would trust is myself. So some sort of markings on myself or something, like tattoo type stuff, that would let me know, like, remember this kind of stuff when you hit that point.
Awesome. So do you have your own like sort of I can never remember which is which. It's either semiotics or the other one. But do you have your own like language for drawing like symbols on your armor, or is it just like words?
Probably, yeah. Probably some sort of
Cool.
like, at least not necessarily a language as much as like a
Glyphs and
code.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Images.
So you're like your armor is like your shell that you've like marked to help
Yeah.
you like remember things, and it's in like a secret language.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, rad. Okay. So you'll want to also choose face and eyes and a body.
I have a blasted face for sure. So scarred face, I guess. Not like blast, like I'm not a disgusting thing, but
Okay.
scarred. Like,
So
'cause
do you have, like-
I'm blowing shit up a lot, so I'm a
So
mess.
do you
like
have-
Tank
do you have,
Girl.
like-
That's what I want to
Nice.
be. Tank Girl.
Tank Girl. Tank Girl is a very appropriate
Awesome.
role model.
Yeah, cool.
Tank Girl.
Okay. Cool, so
I
do you-
just need
your-
to shave part of my head and I'll be there. So
Your scars, the scars on your face are they like tough guy anime character scars, or are they like, ugh, you look scary kind of scars?
they're
like
definitely
real
like a little scary, but in inappropriate places to where I still have some normalance.
Sure, you're not like missing your nose or anything.
No.
Okay, cool. All right.
And then I think I probably have wise eyes, because I'm gonna tip into that weird scale at some
Cool.
point.
Okay. All right.
And then my body is probably overbuilt because
Sweet.
I'm a gunlugger and I'm tough, like Zara,
So you-
the new
so you
Overwatch
like-
character.
You work out on the reg, so like.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just love the idea of this, like, of the boat going along and everybody like doing their job, and you're just sitting in the back pumping iron.
Yeah. Wherever I can, I'm just
Sweet.
getting ready.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is really cool. All right, so you're going to want to choose one set of your stats. So you'll notice they all more or less balance out. So for you, you've got you're going to have a different set than everybody else will. It's going to be basically along those lines. So you'll choose the one that has +1 cool, +2 hard.
So I probably want hard first, right?
They're all +2 hard because you're a
cool.
gunlugger. So it's just picking the other stuff.
So I want.
If you want to be
second
hard,
one.
Yes, you want to be hard.
I want the second one, hard and weird.
All right. So while you fill that, I'll tell the audience. So the stat set that Navari is choosing.
One, right?
You'll put -1 for the minuses. Like put the
Yeah. Okay.
So she's got -2 or -1 to her cool. So while she may be cool in the sense of being cool with guns and muscles and rad scars, she is likely not to succeed when she tries to like keep her shit together and stay on the straight and narrow. But she does have +2 hard, so it doesn't matter. She can just shoot her way out of these problems. She's going to be really good at intimidating people and hitting them or shooting them to death. She's got -2 to her hot, which means someone else is going to be getting attention in a positive way before she will.
Right.
Whether that means the character, like it sounds to me like the character's not unattractive. This sounds like a personality issue rather than a physical one.
But I don't really give a shit.
Exactly. And that's why your hot is -2, because you couldn't be bothered to get anybody. Yeah, who cares? You have different ways of getting their attention.
Yeah.
You're +1 to your sharp, which means Navari is good at noticing things, which is good. You can pick out targets, but you're also good at determining what other people are thinking and feeling. So you have some insight into that. Cool. And then you have +2 weird, so you're just as weird as you are hard, which is a cool way to be. So you're gonna want to. You're more likely to ask the maelstrom for assistance than you are a person, based on those stats. Though we'll see how it goes in.
Oh man, yeah, the weird gunlugger, that's super good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird guns.
Oh yeah, that's a really good combo.
Yeah. So everyone in the game has access to the basic moves, and the basic moves in this game, you guys can see them noted under your character's stats there. They are do something under fire, which is the move that you're going to roll when you're trying to accomplish something that either is difficult or would normally not be difficult, except that you are under fire. And it can be literally like, I would like to get from here to there and someone is trying to kill me with a machine gun, or it can be I'm trying to concentrate on doing something and someone is lying next to me bleeding out, or I'm being psychically assaulted. This move comes up a lot as a sort of resistance to adversity move. You have Go Aggro, which is trying to intimidate a person into doing something that you want. You basically make it clear that you're threatening them, and then you make the roll, and they have to decide how they respond to that threat. And depending on how well you roll, modifies their response.
And an important distinction here. Andrew and I are both racing to say this probably. Go aggro also is for actually committing violence as well, not just threatening. You can shoot someone in the face to get them to do what you want, and that thing can be fall down and die.
Yes.
So that's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
The point I was going to make is that also if you're going aggro on someone, it's because you will pull the trigger.
Yes.
Yes. If it's an empty threat, it's not going aggro. Because an option that they have is they can force your hand. They can say, you put your gun in their face and you roll aggro, and then they can say, well, do it, sucker, I don't care. And then you're like, well, I didn't mean it. Then you weren't actually going aggro.
Right.
So as the gunlugger, you can choose, like, do you open with threats or do you open with bullets? But either way, you can go aggro. That way.
Yeah. And you have an escalation. Everyone has an escalation path they can follow depending on how aggressive you want to be about things. When you're trying to seize something by force or secure your hold on something, you'll make that move. And that move is about taking things from people. And it can be literally like, you have a thing and I want to grab it from you and hurt you in the process. Like there's always harm involved when you seize something by force. It's not just like, casually trying to take away. It's violence. It's for when there are guns out and you are trading blows. But it can be something more metaphorical than just an object. It could be, seize control of a situation, seize the attention of a crowd, seize someone's life from them. And this is where you want to like make someone your hostage. You can seize them by force. When you want to read a charged situation or read a person, both of those are sharp. Reading a person happens in a charged situation too, and so this is a fun one because you make it, and you might be just like sitting having coffee with someone, and you're like, I want to read them, and I'm like, oh, is this a charged situation? And you're like, yeah, well, it is now. You're implying there's a charge there if it's not already, and like I mentioned before, it'll allow you to ask questions of me and of the other players for the setting, depending on what you're rolling. We're going to use a slight modification to these. Normally, the way that the rules are written, if you fail the roll, you don't get to ask anything, but that's boring. Even if you fail, you can ask one question. I'm still going to make a move, and things are probably going to go bad for you, but these moves are here to allow you to investigate the fiction, to interrogate what's happening. So we're gonna allow that as part of those moves. And then opening your brain to the psychic maelstrom. So that's, you ask a question and roll the dice, and the maelstrom may or may not answer. And I will definitely ask you questions as well. And they might be related to what you're asking about. They might be just other weird things about your character's personality or the way that they're behaving. We're going to learn as a group things about you by way of the maelstrom. So those are all your basic moves. Everybody gets those. And each character will be choosing some additional moves from their sheet. So as the gunlugger, you're going to choose 3 of that list.
From gunlugger moves.
Yeah, so you take a look at them, and I'll review them real quick for everybody. So the gunlugger, there's only, let's see, how many do you have? 1, 2, 3, 7 moves, so you'll get just under half of them. And these are ways to determine what kind of gunlugger you are, or like what you're good at particularly. So like we're going to see this in a lot of the playbooks. The first move is Battle-Hardened. So when you act under fire, you roll hard instead of cool. So that would mean that Avacyn, because you're so hard, instead of trying to like keep your cool to get out of danger, you just like plow your way through with hard instead. So you take that move, you're not rolling your cool except when there's another move or a custom move that'll do that. I'm definitely going to do that one. So this puts us in a situation where with highlighting, there can be some weirdness. Like if somebody highlights your cool and you have that move, it's going to be really hard for you to get XP based on that. So generally what we do is try to keep in mind that if a character has one of these moves, you can highlight their move, but they're probably not gonna make it. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, there's a few ways to do that. You can either say, hey, I have the stat sub for that, so don't highlight my cool. Or if we want to just not like deal with it, then when you would roll cool, you take the XP, even though you're rolling sharp instead or whatever. It's like I'm highlighting that I want you to act under fire more than I'm highlighting your stat per se.
Yeah, you're highlighting the move or set of moves.
Basically, yeah.
Yep. Cool is one that you don't often see highlighted except on characters that have extra moves for cool, because it's fairly passive. It's like, I want you to act under fire, but the GM is sort of responsible for putting the fire on you. You just have to go run into fires. So Battle-Hardened allows you to roll hard instead of cool. Everybody has, I think, moves like that allow you to switch out for your better ones. The Gunlugger has a move called Fuck This Shit. Awesome. I love the names of these. That's
so good.
Good moves. Fuck This Shit. Where you name your escape route and roll plus hard, and it lets you just get the fuck out of a bad situation. So this is like, well, you run out of ammo, you're bleeding, your friends, fuck them, we're out of here. And so you make the move and you can get out of a scene. You can escape from danger. If you roll well. There's another swap move you have called Battlefield Instincts. This isn't one that you should take because your stats are the same, but it allows you to open your brain to the world's maelstrom with hard instead. There's a move called Insano Like Drano, which just gives you an extra point of hard. So your hard would go up to 3.
So good.
There's Prepared for the Inevitable, which gives you a well-stocked and high-quality first aid kit. There's Blood Crazed, which whenever you inflict harm, you inflict an extra harm, which is a really big deal because characters in this game, instead of hit points, we have a harm countdown clock. So you start at midnight and work your way back around and get more and more hurt as you go. And if you ever reach midnight again on the countdown clock, then your character is basically out. You die or something very bad happens to them. NPCs don't have 6 slots on the clock. They have, 3, I think?
It's like 2 or 3.
It's 2 or 3.
You will kill most people.
Yeah.
At your discretion, they can take a little more.
So if you take Blood Crazed, you're going to end up killing NPCs by accident. They're so fragile. You're like, I punch him. Well, you break his neck. Good job. So it's
because you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, because you're blood. Yeah, the other thing is that these, like I said, they're descriptive of your character's abilities, but they're also descriptive of your character as a person. Like someone who has Blood Crazed is blood crazed. It's up to you to decide how that looks.
Right.
That's an option for you. And then my favorite, in all caps, not to be fucked with. And if you're not to be fucked with in battle, you count as a small gang alone. So you can fight off an entire gang of people just by yourself. Whether you're armed or unarmed, it doesn't matter. You also deal more harm to individuals. You can deal parallel harm to other gangs. You're a big deal.
Cool.
Yeah. So what are you thinking for the other two, Allison?
I think that I want to do Blood Crazed.
Okay.
How do I, where it says what stat I use, that hard again?
Yeah, just set it for hard. You won't be rolling Blood Crazed. Okay.
Okay.
Just remember that when you
I get
harm,
+1 harm.
+1. Yeah.
And then I'm trying to decide between Insano like Drano, because having an extra hard would always be great, but also not to be fucked with is great. And if we're rolling around, like, if it's about protecting the people I'm with, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, so you'll get another opportunity when you advance to increase your stats and to get new moves. So you could take either of those later. You'll get 2 more Gunlugger moves if you want them.
I see.
I love the idea of not to be fucked with, where like there might be other like boat crews around, and they have gangs. You don't need a gang.
Sure.
Yeah,
You've got a Navari.
we've got Navari. Get him, Navari.
You're the Hulk, right? You're the army.
The other thing that's important to note about not to be fucked with is that it's not just like when you're just walking around and if you're like intimidating someone at a bar, you don't count as a gang, but it's just like when it's like a full-on like battle, like everyone is shooting bullets from like their other boat or whatever, then you're like super powered.
Yeah, and it's a bit like the charge situation thing where I might ask you, you know, is this a battle? Is this not a battle? And you're like, well, you know, I'm gonna make it a battle so that I can use not to be fucked with, right? Like shooting someone in the back of the head, not a battle, but if you punch them, let them turn around and take their weapon out, that's a battle.
Totally.
Yeah. Cool.
So Battle-Hardened, Blood Crazed, and not to be fucked with is what I have selected.
Those are all excellent choices.
In case there was any doubt.
So why don't we take our second break? You can take a look at gear, because gear will take a little bit.
Sure.
So let's do that. That'll set us back to the hour mark.
So
we'll take our second break.
We'll do 8 minutes, 8 minutes. I'll set it for 10.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Let me switch over. Stay tuned, everybody. We will be back in just a few.